Article 18. This is another collective right. We've gone through the individual rights, and Article 17 talks about the rights to have meetings, which is a collective right, and this is about the rights to organise associations, which is another collective right. So we're talking about social formations here, the right to be part and to create a social formation. It starts like this. I cittadini hanno diritti di associarsi liberamente senza autorizzazione per fini che non sono vietati ai singoli dalla legge penale. That's beginning. So here it's saying we are free to create these associations. The law cannot stop us. We don't need authorization. But first, what is an association? An association is individuals coming together and organising themselves for a particular purpose, for a particular end, an objective. That doesn't really, is continuous. It's not like a meeting that has, a purpose and then it's finished. It actually continues. And that's what we're talking about. So we've got the right to do that. Unless, and there are limitations to this. It says, per fini che non sono vietati ai singoli della legge penale. So we've got to be sure that these associations, their objectives, their aims are not against the law, against the penal code. This article is actually another vehicle for freedom of expression. I talked in the last article about how newspapers were very protected. We've got the freedom of the press, and it's very important. In Article 21, it talks about this. It says it's so important for freedom of expression to protect the freedom of the press. But this too is another vehicle for freedom of expression. We express ourselves, we express ideas, new ideas in associations. These associations could be political, they could be unions, they could even be the Boy Scouts. There is that limitation. They're very important to the founding fathers, the freedom of these associations, because in the time of fascism, all associations were an extension of fascism. Even the Boy Scouts was under the flag of fascism and fascist ideology. It was all just a continuation of fascism and their philosophy. So it's very important that there's this possibility to have associations that have different philosophies. It's another diversity, pluralism. And then it continues with more limitations. It says, sono proibite le associazioni segrete e quelle che perseguono anche indirettamente scopi politici mediante organizzazioni di carattere militare. So, here the limitations. We don't want secret associations. We've got to remember that the state does not want to be threatened and wants to be able to check. They don't need authorization to exist, but it wants to be able to check that they're legitimate, their activity is legitimate, and nothing can be secret. It's going to be very transparent. The members, the objectives, the structure of the organisation, everything is open and transparent and checkable for the state. And then it continues about associations which seek political purposes with a military characterization. So here we've got to remember that the state has the monopoly of force. So that means only the state has got force. Any other force used by any other person or organisation or formation, social formation, is illegitimate, and that has obvious, reasons behind it, because the state again doesn't want to be threatened in any way. We talk about military character. They're not just talking about arms. You could be just paraded, just marching up and down and training, or in uniforms, or saluting people and having a hierarchy, a military hierarchy, etc., etc. So if there's a character, a military character to the organisation, that's not permitted. We've got to remember throughout the Constitution it talks about democracy, and this democracy must also be in the association. So it must be organised and operated in a very democratic way, not in a military fashion.